The show is calculated. It's an adrenaline rush. There's wall-to-wall action every moment. And you have Priyanka Chopra Jonas, you have Richard Madden, who are just two of the sexiest people that you can kind of have on screen. And at so many moments, you're like, I want you to fight, but I also kind of want you guys to go off and do your own sexy stuff because
Yeah.
it's just it all just kind of like it fits within the tension that the show creates.
Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of Citadel. My name is Daniel. I am one of your hosts today, and joining alongside me are my fellow secret agents. It's Shahbaz
Hello.
and Anthony.
What's up? It's my secret agent voice.
Again, Anthony's doing
Different.
great with these secret agent voices.
Every
Just a
single
master of disguise, he is. Every single episode, just a completely different person, and I love it. I love that for you.
That was my 90s, what's up secret voice. It's like, whoa, this guy from the
I got
90s?
you. I got you.
No.
Your
I'm
Budweiser
not, though,
commercial
but I am.
version.
Yes.
Is he a time traveler? This is wild.
Wow.
This is the movie podcast review of Citadel. This is a spoiler-free discussion of the first two episodes. We had the opportunity of watching this show in jolly old London, which we just came back from. We're in Citadel week here on the show as well, too. So if you did not check out our interviews with the Russo brothers, with Angela Russo-Otstot Russo and David Weil, go check that out, because tomorrow on the show we have the star of this very series, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, joining us. It is Citadel every single day here on the movie podcast, and we can't get enough of it. I'm so excited to talk about this series with you guys, but I do want to say thank you to our friends at Prime Video Canada for inviting us to watch a show, inviting us to partake in the junket in London. We're going to be talking a lot more about it very, very soon, but make sure you check out all of our interviews from our time in London. We had a great time with the creators and the cast of the show, so you don't want to miss it. Now, of course, this is the movie podcast. You can catch brand new episodes all throughout the week, including reviews and interviews and all the latest movies and series. If you want to follow us on social media, make sure you do that at the movie podcast. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd are the best places to find us. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, join our Discord, leave a comment below. There are so many ways that you can interact with us, and we don't want you to miss a thing because there's so many amazing things happening here on the movie podcast. Before we dive in to the world of Citadel, I do want to ask both of you, and I'm going to start with Shahbaz. If you could choose one moment from our London times, from our trip in London, what was the highlight for you?
Our first night, we had really good steak, and it's a steak that I've been thinking about for quite some time now. It was in the Seven Dials area at this place called Hawksmoor, and I've been thinking about that steak because not only was I super delirious, because I think at that point we hadn't slept for maybe
No.
40 hours or maybe a little bit less. So going into that food, it was like a mirage to me. So I was eating it and I was cutting it and I'm like, oh, it's so smooth, it's so soft. I probably was eating nothing for all I know, but my mind was making this amazing steak. So probably one of those, that moment was one of my favorites. There's again a lot of other great moments, but I want to give you guys
Yes.
that opportunity.
That steak and also the sides, like the triple fried, French fries, and then the grilled mushrooms.
And the mushrooms,
oh my
the garlic mushrooms.
gosh.
Yes, of course.
I'm so hungry now. I am so hungry. Anthony, how about yourself? A moment from London that is not involving, obviously, the great show of Citadel.
I think this might sound cheesy and touristy, but it was driving on the other side of the road, which was a feeling that it just felt like my body was like, no, this is wrong. You should not be on this side. You should be on that side. And there's a lot of
Who's driving this car right now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I would look behind me and it's like, oh, the driver is there. It's not on the left-hand side. But it's funny crossing the street because a lot of times I was looking the wrong way. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look to the left or the right, but clearly the cars were coming in the other or the opposite direction. So my head, by the end of the trip, I was doing the double take. I didn't know and I didn't care. I'm looking both ways. And, it's so funny to be in a world where everything is opposite in that sense, when your body and your muscle memory has been trained to be the other way. So yeah, that's my
it's
biggest
so
memory, or my biggest experience.
Anthony and I also got our Shake Shack fill, which is always very important. So far on both trips now, you and I have gone our ways to go get Shake Shack. And I think that's something that is very memorable.
God put us in a spot where, or Amazon Prime, and when I refer to God,
And
Oh
God,
God,
both of them
yeah,
together. They
God.
work
they
together
put
on
us
this one, I
in
think.
front of a Shake Shack, which is great. We only went once. I think there was a lot of food on this trip, and
It was,
I
yeah. We were supposed to go on our last day too, but we didn't end up going,
exactly.
unfortunately. But
So, and it was
yeah,
also cool to try McDonald's from another location.
yeah,
It's like, you know, there's always the talk of, well, have you, when you go to Europe, you should try all the foods that we eat here, but they're so different there, and you should try whatever's not on the menu. So we got to do that. And one of the biggest things is like, I noticed like mozzarella sticks and chicken fingers and all that. I'm like, wow, why don't we have these things
yeah.
in
Bring them
Canada?
here,
Like
please.
they're so easy to
Yeah,
do. But yeah, little cool things like that.
yeah.
Oh,
It was
Big
cool,
Ben.
and I think just seeing the sights, right, and Big Ben, right, like seeing Big Benny, yeah, like there's these things that we're so used to seeing in movies, so they're like they feel like myths, but when you see them in person, you're like, oh my god, they're right here, like we are a part of it. So please, like I said, make sure you're following us on all social media feeds so you can see all of our coverage from London. It's been a whirlwind of a week since we've been back, but to cap it off by being able to talk about a show that we really really enjoy. Let's just get right into it. Of course, Citadel stars Richard Madden, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, and Stanley Tucci with a huge cast. There's going to be spin-offs happening in different countries like India and Italy. And this series, of course, is going to be premiering on April 28th. So that is tomorrow. If you're listening to this on the day we are releasing this episode, the first 2 episodes will be out. We're staying spoiler-free for today, but Shahbaz is going to tell you what Citadel is all about.
8 years ago, Citadel fell. The independent global spy agency tasked to uphold the safety and security of all people was destroyed by operatives of Manticore, a powerful syndicate manipulating the world from the shadows. With Citadel's fall, elite agents Mason Kane and Nadia Sin had their memories wiped as they narrowly escaped with their lives. They've remained hidden ever since, building new lives under new identities, unaware of their pasts, until one night when Mason is tracked down by his former Citadel colleague, Bernard Orlick, who desperately needs his help to prevent Manticore from establishing a new world order.
I love it. No, Citadel, like from you could already tell from the trailers and from our first interviews that we dropped yesterday. Obviously, this show is coming from the Russo brothers and David Weil and Angela Russo-Otstot Russo. There's a lot of inspirations coming from other spy shows. If you love the Bourne films, if you love Mission Impossible, if you love James Bond, there's a lot of that DNA in this show, and I think this is going to be a really huge show for Prime Video, especially when we just look at the success that The Night Agent had on Netflix. You know, if you're into those type of shows, Citadel is going to be right in your wheelhouse. Now, I'd love Anthony, please start us off with your first reaction to Citadel.
I really like Citadel. I thought it was a fantastic 2 episode introduction. Like a lot of it that I took away from is this feels very much like how David was explaining all the different spy genres that we love and grew up with. Bond, Bourne, even like series like Alias, I saw little glimpses of it, and then it's all brought into this world. And what I love about what the Russos are doing is let's create a franchise, but not also a franchise. Let's create a universe, which I think we don't have yet in the spy world. Like Bond is always going to be Bond. There's no other characters that we interact with that have their own movies. So I think having this universe from India to Rome and whatever other countries that are going to come down the pipeline is going to make this world of Citadel last. It's going to like change a lot of the way we watch spy series and just kind of like bring that element of, hey, I want to see that character and this character and all these other spy characters that we are going to be introduced interact with other series in this world. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this show. Is like they're not just investing in the two characters of, Priyanka and Richard. It's a bigger thing than them. It's much bigger. And I think they said it enough times in interviews and articles that they are expecting for this thing to be bigger than this one show and make it into something that lasts for a very long time. I enjoy Priyanka Chopra. I think she is fantastic. I remember watching her in the FBI drama on TV, Quantico, and she did a great job. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot. I think her work and her presence is much bigger than such a small FBI type of series. Like, I do see her more in this spy role, because I think her range is so much bigger than just the Quantico spy that we got from a couple of years ago. So, I mentioned it in our interviews, like the devotion of learning languages, the action sequences, and the first thing you will see in this series is a fantastic action sequence that takes place on a train, and Priyanka's
Oh
just
man, that train sequence is
kills it.
incredible.
And it's one of those, you need within a series like this, and any type of series, within the first 5 minutes, if you don't grab the audience, that series is gone. And what they did with this series, and just throwing you into this world, giving you enough to understand it, the directors and the creators treat you that you watched a spy series or a movie before, so they're not going to kind of like dumb it down or go into this
No, they're not holding your hand in this, right? You're in it
convoluted,
right away.
this is who this person is. They know, what a spy series or movie is. So you're just thrown into this action sequence and it grabs you. And you're like, okay, I'm in it for the next 6 episodes. And that's how I took, that's my biggest takeaway is like, wow, they spared no expense on giving you these action sequences that feel like, they should be on a big screen. And I do apologize. I forgot the theater that we watched this in. Beautiful theater in London. It looks so good on the big screen. It's
It does,
fantastic.
yeah.
It does a great job, and there's enough substance, enough story to kind of get you engaged. You got Stanley Tucci's character. You got all these other characters that are happening around. We don't know what's happening with all the other characters that are coming down the rest of the series or the rest of the episodes that are going to air. But I just can't wait where does this end? What does it tell? What other action sequence? Trailers look like they're gonna fight on a mountain somewhere. So it's like very Mission Impossible. And this is all in the comfort of your house. Like Amazon Prime killing it with this series.
Yeah,
I believe
it's oh, go ahead, sorry.
no, I was just saying, I believe the theater was the Royal Drury Lane Theater.
Yeah, that's the one where Frozen
Yeah.
is. Where
Yeah.
Frozen's playing, right? Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible, Anthony. I think when you say that, I wanted to jump off from what you said there. That you're getting to watch this in the comfort of your home. This really is like big screen thrills that you're able to watch at home. And the last series that really made me feel like that is when we were watching The Rings of Power, and that's another one that we got to watch on a big screen, where you just felt like, oh my god, like these effects, the scope of the show feels massive, and for it to be happening that you get to you could watch it on your phone or watch it at home. It's pretty remarkable, and I think Citadel is that. Citadel is absolutely thrilling, beginning to end, and I think it's a really exciting start to what is going to be one of the most kick-ass shows of the year and the most cinematic shows of the year. And that all comes back to Richard Madden and Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who I think just have incredible chemistry. And in our interview with Priyanka, she even said, you don't know if they're going to start fighting or if they're going to start making out. Like they have this tension and this incredible chemistry between them that you just can't help but watch it. It's really captivating, and I think putting that in the large scale spy espionage thriller, like this is just I'm just eating this up every week. Like this is totally my jam. I love this type of movie. I love this type of show. Um, so I just get it's so easy for me to get lost in it. It's really something I'm really excited to watch for the next few weeks and to talk about with you guys in spoilers, not like we're doing today over the next couple weeks. But Shabazz, please jump on in.
Yeah, just like what you guys said, the show is calculated. It's an adrenaline rush. There's wall to wall action every moment, and you have Priyanka Chopra Jonas, you have Richard Madden, who are just two of the sexiest people that you can kind of have on screen. And at so many moments, you're like, I want you to fight, but I also kind of want you guys to like, you know, go off and do your own sexy stuff because
Yeah.
it's just it all just kind of like it fits within the tension that this show creates. And it's really cool because like you mentioned, Daniel, the scale of the show is groundbreaking. It feels like it starts off massive already. It shrinks down when you kind of get to a certain point and you're like, oh, okay, they're living their normal lives, and then it just expands right again. It's like you only get to breathe for just a little bit in that first episode. And what I love about the length of these episodes is they're not your traditional lengths. They don't have to be 50 minutes long or 40 minutes long. They're just the right length. They start and end without giving you even a moment to kind of sit down and relax. They blast right through, and then you're like, oh, credits are rolling. You're like, oh, okay, thank God. There's no slow moments. There wasn't anything that I didn't need there. And you have amazing chemistry between everybody. My only complaint, more Stanley Tucci. I need more Stanley Tucci in the show. And I mean, again, we've only seen the first 2 episodes, so who knows where else he's gonna pop up. But man, oh man, is he such a joy to watch, especially in these kind of roles where he plays kind of like a almost like a prick in a way, where he's just kind of like an asshole,
Yeah.
but like he's like
Like,
sly
what
about
side are
it.
you on? Are you a good guy? You're a bad
Yeah.
guy, but you know you play that, right? But yeah, we
It-
definitely need more of the Tooch in this
we
series for
need more of
sure.
the Tooch. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But no,
More of the Tooch.
I love spy shows. I love spy movies. I mean, the Bourne series is one of my absolute favorites, and the whole memory wiping and everything like that kind of really resonates with me, and it really brings me back to those kind of moments. And I loved seeing just that the cleanliness of their action sequences. I mean, the Bourne movies, they really they created that shaky cam, they created that shaky cam action, which worked really well in that 2000s period. But now we love seeing a clear punch, a clear shot, a clear kick, and that's what Citadel does. It uses the camera to its leverage, shifting your perspective, moving the scenes around. And that opening sequence, like you mentioned, both of you guys, that on the train, I yelled, "Oh shit!" And I think when you do
Yeah.
that, that's how you
Yeah.
know it's a good sequence.
Yeah, there's and it's like, yeah, like there's a lot of moments where it actually just like turns, that's the actual aspect of what we're looking at, just is turning. It's really, really inventive stuff. It's really, really cool. And to see it on, the smaller screen, it's like it's really interesting because there's nothing small about Citadel at all. It is absolutely massive show. Um yeah, the action, so the train sequence, the only say I'd say my only complaint as of right now, and it's not really like a major factor because we haven't seen the rest of the show, is that there is a time jump that happens in the first little bit of the show that feels like it's a big jump of time, that it feels like, yeah, like this is a lot of time to be kind of jumping over from here. But I'm hoping as the show goes on, um those spots will start to be filled out a little bit and kind of explain why that time did. Yeah, Shay.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Sorry, that is something that I also want to touch on too, because it it's a big chunk of time. There's a lot of stuff that happens in it, and it just kind of happens way too quickly that you almost, if you maybe went to the bathroom and then kind of came back, you would have had no idea that it happened. So I think that was something that hopefully, like you're saying, Danielle, in the remaining episodes is brought up a lot more, because if it's
Yeah.
completely sidelined, then I think in storytelling that is a bit of the weaker element then.
Right. And luckily people won't really have to hopefully people will just pause if they have to go to the washroom because they will be watching this at home. So you won't be
You
missing
never
that.
know. You never know.
You never know. You do never know. Maybe people like hearing the sound of like bullets flying when they're peeing. Who knows? We don't judge here on the movie podcast, of course. But yeah, there's definitely a time jump that happens there. But I really do like whenever we do get a little bit more of a downtime, and because it's very interesting. It's not like it's like, okay, the next 20 minutes like we're just going to be doing the slow day-to-day life. It's like, no, like, and like Shay said, it's each episode has been about 40 minutes. It's kind of guns blazing throughout, and any moments of quiet, it really is focusing on the character developments and them figuring out who they are. And like we said, we need more Stanley Tucci for sure. But it's really interesting, and I think when you look at like Priyanka's character and Richard's character, um individually they're very interesting, and then when you put them together, it's magic.
There's an element that's added to this whole spy world, which is, and you will see it, and it's in the synopsis, is the ability that they lose their memories, and they also, and in that case, they live a different life, so they have a different personality, and it's interesting to see where these characters go and what they do after their memory is wiped. And I wonder what personality takes hold at the end. Do they keep what they created now, or do they continue with what the spy personality was beforehand? And I think that's interesting because it you are these characters are kind of like shown in a certain way when you're introduced to them, but then by the time that time jump happens, they're so different. Do they go back to who they were, or do they stick with what they have, but then continue being the spy? So it's a weird dynamic, and it changes how you see them, which I really like. I think that's interesting to add as a part of this plot where, hmm, maybe they're not going to go back to that asshole vibe that they had before. Now they'll be, the family man spy dude, like
Yeah,
nobody.
you wonder, right? You wonder.
But you also kind of have to wonder, and I mean, this is something that we have been talking about a lot on the show, is everything you know. is a lie. Like I don't believe that the first two episodes have really given us enough of an understanding as to what these characters are going to be going through. I think we're going to be completely, falling on our asses like by episode 4 or 5 and being
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh my god, did not see that coming, or like that was where they were trying to go. And I truly believe that everything is going to be a subversion of our expectations, because it feels like that's what David Weil is trying to do here. And even Angela Russo, they're trying to go and completely change what we know about spy films and spy genres. But the thing that stays the same is you just can't trust anybody, and you can't trust what you're seeing. So I'm pretty sure by the end of it, we'll have a completely different reaction.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like right now we are, we're keeping it spoiler free. The first two episodes, like we don't want to give too much away because there is a lot of setup happening. But by the time we kind of get into episode 3 next week, and we're talking about more of the plots and the character motives and where we're thinking things are going, I'm really excited to dive in. To dive deep into that with you guys, because we're keeping it very just overall reactions right now, but there's a lot to talk about, and I'm really excited for us to really dive in, and for you listening to this or watching this right now, for you to give us your perspective. So please make sure you're, like we always say, join our Discord. We're now having a channel open for it so we can be talking about this show, because there's a lot to talk about here. Any other final thoughts before we get to our final recommendations?
This is one thing is this is not a PG-13 spy type of series.
Oh no.
This is a pretty like graphic spy series, and it's nice to have. It's nice to not to have spies swear or be shot in the head. And I know it's not something that we want to see, but it just adds to the substance of being in this world. And sometimes when
It's
you
intense. It's an
hide
adult
it,
one for sure.
it kind of like you lose a little bit of that spy vibe that you get, that you want to get.
I think that's a great point because there's an edge to this show, which is a good type of edge where it's like, yeah, this feels adult. This feels like what would be happening in a scenario like this, not like a PG-13 version of that. But let's get things going off. Shay, I'm going to get you to start us off with your final recommendation for Citadel on Prime Video.
This is an easy watch it. I think, if you love the spy genre, if you love watching kick-ass sequences on television, and you love the actors in this is a must watch. I can't wait for people like my family to watch this as well. And I can't wait for the spin-offs, because I think that there's going to be something for everybody. And what I love is that we're going to be constantly fed, because once I'm done this version, if India comes out next or Italy comes out next, I'm going to make sure to watch those next too, because I really want to involve myself as much of in this world as I can.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Shay. This is a must watch for me. Like, watch it, have fun with it. If you love action, if you love spy thrillers, espionage, this is the show for you. This feels like large screen action, but you're going to be able to watch it in the comfort of your home every single week. You're going to be fed, like Shay's saying. You're going to be fed for the next month. So you're gonna have some incredible shows to watch with Citadel. Add it to your, like, make sure you're queuing it up on Prime Video. You want to be able to watch it right when it drops, because we're going to have our weekly series covering everything Citadel starting next week. But yeah, it's an easy watch it. You're gonna have a blast with it. It's super cinematic. It kicks so much ass, and Priyanka and Richard are just so damn fun in it. Anthony, take us home.
It's a definite watch it for me. This seamlessly blends elements of our favorite spy franchises into one series, and who doesn't want to see something like that happen? The dynamic duo of Priyanka and Richard, they just have chemistry that works so well, and it's crazy because you think, man, this is something that you would see in theaters, but you're actually watching it at home. And Citadel literally feels new, and it feels infused with a style that we haven't seen since Bond, but it's in a series, which is great. So we get like an episode every week for the next, 6 weeks plus the spinoff. So I'm looking forward to like watching everything and being part of this world.
I love it. Of course, Citadel is out on Prime Video April 28th. That is tomorrow. You'll be able to dive into the first two episodes. I want to say thank you to our friends at Prime Video Canada for inviting us to watch this episode, for inviting us to do all this incredible coverage for the series. Make sure you check out our interview with the Russo brothers, with Angela, with David, and of course, tomorrow, our interview with Priyanka Chopra Jonas. We have great coverage coming your way. You don't want to miss it. And make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd at the Movie Podcast to see all of the incredible stuff that we're doing. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, leave a comment below, and join our Discord. We're having some great conversations in there. That was this time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.